Whether you're looking to start or grow your family, preparing your body for conception and knowing the do's and don'ts of pregnancy can go a long way to helping the expectant mom to have a successful pregnancy. For more expert knowledge on navigating the maternity journey, I'm joined in the studio today by homeopath Dr. Theoni Naidu and Theoni Papoutsis, who is a birth keeper. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us today. Theoni, let's start with you because it's your first time on the show, so we'll throw you in the deep end. What are the things that you need to really consider if you're preparing yourself for pregnancy and you want to fall pregnant?
I think that people need to realize that it's not just a physical experience, so they need to be emotionally prepared, they need to get their mindset right, which is really what I specialize in, is really getting them physically, emotionally and mentally prepared for this major event that's going to take place.
Yeah. Do you feel that some people enter into it, obviously sometimes it's a surprise, but those who are planning it, do you think that, or do you find that a lot of people go in not emotionally prepared or mentally prepared enough to make it an easier journey?
I think so, yes. I think a lot of women think that, oh, it's going to be lovely and it's going to be easy, and then of course they may have nausea, that they just realize they cannot control it, and it's like something else is controlling me. And obviously there's lots of things that we can do, and from a homeopathic point of view, definitely for the nausea, to prevent that. But then again, on an emotional level, I find that if it is a surprise pregnancy, moms can be more nauseous because it's like they can't stomach it, they can't get their head around it. Whereas when I then do a session with them, we actually connect with the baby that's coming, get them in the right place, their mindset, suddenly the nausea disappears.
Okay, interesting. So it's a very much a mental thing that's got a physical reaction. Now, Pranitha, in terms of the nutritional side of things and preparing your body, what are there supplements that people should be looking at taking? Obviously, some changes to diet if they know that they don't have the best sort of eating lifestyle. What would your suggestions be there?
So definitely prenatal, if you know that you want to fall pregnant, it's very important for the 3 months leading up to conception that you're actually doing housekeeping on your body. And in that sense, we talk about detoxifying, supporting your body from a nutritional perspective. So making sure that you're eating much healthier, you're getting in more protein in your diet, more green leafy vegetables, you're making sure that you're getting your omega supplements. Usually suggested for preconception is folic acid. So sometimes the doctors will put you on about a 400 to 800 microgram of folic acid, and you can do that, which also helps you if you struggle or you're struggling to fall pregnant. Also the mindset, and it's exactly what Theoni said. I think the mindset's a very important thing. I think most women, they get obsessed with the thought of falling pregnant, they become too much in their head. And it's not about where my physical body actually is, it's more about I need to do everything correctly to get there. But you don't realize that it's a mind, body, soul connection, and if one part of you is not connected to the other, that may not follow suit and you may not fall pregnant. So there's that anxiety, I think, that women also bring onto themselves, right? And I think it's created also by society type of thing. At a certain age, if you've been married for this period of time, you should conceive or you should have had a kid by now. So I think women tend to become very anxious about that. So I think not only just physical and what supplements you can do, but also looking at a lifestyle change. So if you are a smoker, if you drink alcohol more than you should, those are types of things that you've got to look at pulling back and sort of focusing on how do I prevent, actually create an environment that is conducive for pregnancy, but also once I'm in that pregnancy phase, that my baby will actually grow and nurture.
Right. In terms of, I want to touch with you, Theoni, specifically on the age aspect. As Pranitha mentioned, how do you approach this aspect with expectant mothers who are maybe slightly older, who are dealing first of all with some kind of a judgment perhaps or a stigma about being an older mother, and also the associated risks? How do they overcome dealing with those anxieties?
I work on obviously lots of different levels with mind body. So I bring in the yoga, I bring in the NLP, I bring in so much of that to support them with the anxiety. So we were talking just before and we were saying I've got a client at the moment who's 46, didn't plan to get pregnant and realized she was pregnant, and she's had such a great pregnancy. And it's because she wasn't fixated, it kind of just happened, and she's been working on herself emotionally and physically, so she's so ready to have this baby,
Yes.
which has been absolutely wonderful. And to touch on, you know, when someone is trying to get pregnant, you remember the egg is sitting there waiting. It's not going to look for, where's the sperm, you know, it's just sitting there and it's waiting. So women need to also start practicing patience, start practicing being receptive to what's coming, which, you know, we live in a linear time, you know, we've got to do this, we've got to do that in a certain time.
It's
whereas
a push
actually,
for everything to happen.
And it's like we've got to get into horticultural time of, you know, we need the soil to be just right.
Yes.
How much do we need of this? How much do we need of that? And then when it's ready, it will happen.
Okay. So Pranitha, from your side, we've spoken now about preparation of the body with nutrients and prenatal supplementation. Now, let's say we're at the point where the mother knows that she's pregnant. We've got to that point.
Yes.
You've made the starting changes to your lifestyle in preparation, but now you enter a different phase where you've actually got a living being inside you and you've got to care about yourself and baby. What are the fundamentals that people need to be conscious of in terms of managing their ecosystem?
So the most important part is, I think the minute that you actually know that you are pregnant or you find out that you're pregnant, is just delving into, and we spoke about diet perspective, right? So you know that you're not only eating for one now, you actually are eating for two, and there's a life actually growing inside of you.
Yes.
So we know that during the course of pregnancy, your blood actually, the amount of blood that you actually have circulating in your body actually doubles because you're now feeding the fetus. So that meaning, and that being said, things like iron is very important during pregnancy, right? Because of the hemoglobin and also the attachment to that in order to give baby enough oxygen. So you've got to be cognitively aware of what I'm putting into my diet, how much of protein I'm eating. And then we also have the issues that when you're in that first trimester of pregnancy, the nausea can kick in. So sometimes you can't eat adequate amounts of protein because you feel nauseous. So then looking at a plant-based protein, maybe a protein type shake. So something that you know you can substitute, but you're getting that full array of nutrients that you require. Most cases is you will need to go on prenatal or pregnancy vitamins, always making sure you're choosing a good quality one that's very well absorbed, quite bioavailable. And you're not only just looking at the vitamins, because, you know, we talk about different things that are important, like I mentioned to you, things like your omegas and your choline and your iron and your vitamin D and your calcium for baby's bones and your bones, because post-pregnancy, you know, you don't want to hit a complete rock bottom because you actually didn't take care of yourself as well. The other thing during pregnancy, most women think this is the time where I shouldn't be exercising, right? And I often say to women, when you're running a marathon, do you not prepare for the marathon? Right? So when falling pregnant, you need to prepare for the pregnancy.
Absolutely.
So you need to be active. You need to be walking, and that also helps with the birthing experience, right? The more active you are, doing the yoga, sort of walking for 30 minutes a day, you know, not only just focusing on what I'm putting into the baby, but also how your mind or what your thought processes are and how you're relaxing and calming yourself as well.
Okay. I think let's go to the exercise with you, Theoni, because you mentioned the yoga as well. What other primary, if I can call them those, forms of exercise should mums keep up? To what degree should they be exercising, and when is it too much? I mean, is it possible to over-exercise during pregnancy?
I think it's definitely, I can over-exercise, definitely. Like anything, you can overdo anything. I have had a couple of women who are runners, and they run right up until 32, 34 weeks. I think that's a bit much. I think pregnancy is a time about readjusting. It's about your life is going to change, and how can I make that transition easier for myself, for my partner, if I have other siblings, you know, for this child that's coming. So how can we make that transition easier? So it's to look at not too much, but at the same time you don't want to also become a couch potato. We want to, so that's why the yoga is great, because it is about strengthening, it's about stretching. I also bring in relaxation, I also bring in meditation. So it's a holistic look at exercise. So it's not just about I'm keeping fit, and also why are we moving our body? And why are we eating? Are we eating because we're bored? Are we eating because we're actually hungry? Are we eating because we're growing a baby? And exercise, what are we doing? Are we also wanting to just shift the energy? If we're feeling stuck or we're feeling frustrated, it's also a way to shift the energy and be healthy.
Now, Pranitha, we've spoken again about the nutrient side of things. Are there particular indicators, if you are sort of further along in your pregnancy, that there are deficiencies?
So there are certain things that you can look out for, right? So during the different phases of pregnancy, so your first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. First trimester, we know, is the one where you actually can battle with the morning sickness. You know, your appetite is not where it needs to be. But if that progresses into and you know, they call your second trimester your golden phase of pregnancy, right? That's when everything is much better and you're actually adjusting to the pregnancy a bit better. So if you notice that, you know, you're not eating adequately, you're feeling dehydrated, you're exhausted, right, all the time, you can't function, then you need to look at, okay, am I getting the nutrients in because I'm nauseous all the time and I'm vomiting, I'm not eating correctly? Or am I tired because I'm not getting adequate amounts of supplementation from either the food I'm eating or maybe the supplement I'm using is not great enough? So it's about understanding your body pre-pregnancy. And once you're actually pregnant, to notice that, you know, there's going to be changes to your body that's unlike anything that you've experienced before. But is it something that feels unnatural to me? Does it feel like, you know, my body doesn't feel right? You know, often mums will say to me, when am I supposed to feel my baby moving? Like, you know, they become stressed about that, you know, oh, my baby hasn't moved, or, you know, and there is that mind connection to the baby. So the more anxious you are, the more baby becomes a little bit anxious. So sometimes you won't experience that or you won't feel that. So it depends. Like some women feel, you know, within the second trimester, they may feel baby moving. It depends if it's your first or second baby. If it's your first baby, sometimes you feel it much later. So you shouldn't take on other people's experiences or things that you read, right? I think pregnancy is unique for each woman. It's just understanding that if I'm feeling unusually fatigued, or I've got severe bearing down pains, and I'm just feeling uncomfortable, or I'm not getting adequate amount of sleep, because sleep is very important during pregnancy as well. But as you get into the later stages of pregnancy, it becomes uncomfortable. Because obviously you have this developing baby and your back hurts and your body is preparing now for the birthing process. So just understanding your body, I think that's the best way. Also certain things that are not normal, like you're getting unusual swelling around the feet, you know, or you've got a family history of certain conditions like hypertension or diabetes, because these are things that you can experience during your pregnancy. So having a good obstetrician that you see regularly, you know, to check your blood pressure, checking your blood glucose, making sure that you're eating adequate meals at adequate times, you know, those types of things. Keeping hydrated, right? And especially in that early phase of where you're actually nauseous and you've got the morning sickness. Definitely don't want to dehydrate, because that does have effect on the baby and the development of the baby.
Theoni, in terms of actual birth, how do you mentally prepare mothers for that sudden dramatic shift? Even though it has been a period of time, they know it's coming, when it actually happens, it's still a big change.
You know, you've got to have the right support, you've got to prepare for it. So what I do is when I teach my confident hypnobirthing is I actually prepare them of what food is there going to be, what positions are you going to take, so what positions work for you, how can you move the baby if the baby's not in an optimal position, you know, how do you relax, how do you breathe. So they're preparing for that, so that by the time it comes to actual labor day, it's in their subconscious.
Well, there you go. I think thank you so much for sharing your insights. For any mother to be either wanting to be a mother or expecting to be a mother, I think you've definitely given them some ways to settle the nerves and just kind of calm themselves around the process. So thank you for joining us. It's really great to have you here.